I heard on the news this morning President Trump is celebrating that Coca-Cola has decided to release in the US a Coca-Cola sweetened with US produced cane sugar. Now, maybe you think that's a great thing. You've got concerns about high fructose corn syrup. Coca-Cola did this after pressure from Trump. He claimed that, Coca-Cola sweetened with cane sugar is just better. I'll be honest, I kind of agree with that. I don't drink a ton of Coke, but every now and then a Mexican Coke's nice. What struck me is the fact that Trump leaning on Coca-Cola to do this, to fix something, is obviously an interference in the economy and private decision making. Maybe you think it's okay, but the entire reason that he felt he needed to do that is because of governmental interference in the economy. Trump is fixing a problem that the government created. Let me explain it. For decades, consumers in the US have paid on average a much higher price for sugar than people anywhere else in the world. The reason for that? Tariffs. To protect the US sugar industry, for decades we've had very high tariffs on imported sugar. That's to protect the small group of pretty wealthy people who grow sugar in Florida, Louisiana, and Texas. At the same time, we've had massive subsidies for corn growers to prop up the US corn industry. So we've drastically raised the cost of sugar and driven down the price of corn. And as a result, it's a lot cheaper to use high fructose corn syrup to produce sweetened things in the US than it is to use sugar. That's the problem we have that Trump is supposedly fixing. And it's a problem of the government's own creation. It used to be that Republicans at least pretended to agree with the idea that governmental interference in the economy creates more problems than it fixes. Used to be that Republicans gave lip service at least to the idea of free trade and free markets. We don't have that anymore. We have two sides of the political aisle in which, both of which think that things will be better if the government interferes. And what this Coke thing reveals is that so often, almost always, when the government interferes in the economy, it creates more problems. And then people come along and say, well, the government needs to fix those too. So I just thought it was this interesting microcosm of how far we've strayed from the idea of free markets, how far we've strayed from the idea of limited government, and how much supposed conservatives have completely abandoned the principles. It's an interesting little example of why we should actually be pushing for far less management of the economy, not more. I just don't think it's that sweet.